Welcome back, Math Marbles. Today we're going to practice making decisions and asking great questions that will help us decide what operation to do first in a word problem. Before we jump into today's model, which has multi-step word problems with more than one operation, we're going to take a step back and just think for a minute about how we make decisions in the operations we're using. How do we know which operation makes sense in the problem? And so there are two just thinking questions that we're going to think about. After you're using solve and after you realize, well, what are they asking me for? What numbers do I have? If you're struggling to figure out your plan of action, you can ask yourself two additional questions. The first one is, when it comes to the numbers, do I have a total? If you have a total, then you may have a subtraction problem. So if they're already giving you a total and you might be subtracting some number to get another one. Or you may have a total and you're sharing it. You're doing an even share to get another number. So in these types of problems, the unknown is not the total. It has to do with a part, like about how much you're sharing, or you've taken a section away and it's how much is remaining, the difference that is left. If you're trying to find the total, you may have a multiplication or a division problem because you're probably adding two values together to get a total, or you're multiplying two factors together to find a total. So that's one question you can ask. What am I looking for? Am I looking for a total, or am I looking for a part at the end? So that's question one. The other question you can ask yourself about the numbers are, am I dealing with groups? So if you have groups, you might have multiplication or division. So we know that when we're multiplying, we're doing repeated addition. So if you have groups of the same thing and you're just making more of them to get a total, then you might be doing multiplication. If you have a total and you're evenly sharing, like you're constantly taking out the same amount again and again, you might be doing division. So that's the first thing. If you're not talking about groups, you might be doing addition or subtraction. So you're creating a total, but A and B are not the same. Like you're just adding different amounts here. Then that is adding. Or if you're subtracting a different number, like you might be taking out 7 to figure out 5. So those are just two questions to think about as you're going through a problem. And with that said, let's jump into our first model problem. At the beginning of the month, Jim's bank balance was $275.38. During the month, he wrote the following checks: $174.89, $68, and $57.76. He made deposits of $250 and $350. Find the bank balance at the end of the month. Lots of different numbers here. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, like 6 different sets of numbers. So there are multiple things happening and we're going to have more than one operation. So let's jump in. Ultimately, starting with the very top, what are they actually asking us? Just to find his bank balance at the end of the month. Like ultimately, what is the total at the end? So already I'm thinking, oh, I need to find my total at the end. Got it. And then what are facts? There are a lot here. We know he's starting with $275.38. So that is my initial balance, our starting point. We're going to find the total at the end. We know that he wrote 3 sets of checks. And this means this is money that's coming out of his account, money that's decreasing his balance. And we also know he deposited 2 checks, and these are amounts that increase. So I know money is being added into his account when it's deposited, and money is being taken out of his account when he's writing a check. So I'm noticing this, so I'm already have a plan in mind about what's happening. It seems there's some addition and there is some subtraction. In all of these numbers, notice I don't have any groupings. So I don't have anything with multiplication or division. So with that thinking in mind, here is my plan. So one, I asked myself, do I have a total? No, I'm coming up with a total at the end. This is telling me my plan will have something to do with addition or multiplication. But my second question, is there any groupings? No, I don't have even groups, so this is more likely a plan that's going to have addition in it. So let's see. I need to find the total amount of checks by adding $174.89, $68, and $57.76. So that's everything he wrote in the check. I'm going to add those three numbers together. I want to find out how much he's writing in checks. Then I'm going to add up how much he's depositing in his checks. I'm going to take those two numbers and add them up. All right, so now I have three different sets of numbers. So I'm going to have my starting amount of money, and I'm going to subtract the checks from my starting amount of money. Then I'm going to add what was deposited into my money. So I'm seeing there are lots of sub-steps, but ultimately that's what I am doing in this process. So let's organize this. I seem to have a plan in mind. Let's try to write it as an expression and work through the problem. So here is my plan of action. I know I'm starting with my initial amount. I know that I'm going to subtract from my initial all the money from the check. So all this money is coming out of my account. It's going to decrease. But I also know that those three numbers have to be added together. And that's why I'm putting them a parentheses around them, because I know that I need to find this total and then I can subtract it. And then I'm going to add the money from the deposits, because deposits make my account higher. And all this will give me my balance, my overall balance, which was what they asked me to find, the balance at the end of the month. So let's jump through. We're going to do the problem little by little. So I'm going to start by doing the first thing in parentheses, this part right here. I'm going to add $174.89, $68. Notice how I'm stacking my decimals, and $57.76. I'm going to add all those parts together, and when I add, I'm going to, here's my decimal, I get $365. Okay, so now I'm going to rewrite my problem. It's going to be a little simpler now. So here's my second revision. So now it's $275.38 minus $300.65 plus $250 plus $350. And that's going to be my B, my balance. So now what's next? I'm going to use my order of operations again, and I'm going to do what's in parentheses here. This one I can use mental addition. That's actually just going to be 600. So now I have $275.38 minus $300.65 plus 600 is going to give me my balance. So I'm at this point now. Now I have to make some decisions, and we haven't done, and this is where I'm going to be transparent with where we are. If we were doing regular order of operations, I would absolutely say we're going to do this section first, subtracting, and we're going to have a negative number because I do not have enough money in my account. I'm short about $25. So I'm going to do a reverse order just for this problem, and I'm going to add my 600 and my 275, so I have enough money. So I would have $875.38 minus $300.65, and that, now I have enough that I can do my subtraction, and that is going to leave me with $474.70. So this was a problem that had a lot of easier operations, just adding, subtracting, but look at all the organization I had to do in it. So my work looks fantastic, but I want to make sure I'm making it very clear at the end what my answer is. So let's put in Jim's balance at the end of the month is $474.70. Nice, clear sentence. No matter who reads it, they understand what my final answer is. And my work is nice and organized so we can see it. So big takeaways as we're thinking through and you're planning out your steps, thinking about what am I really working with? Do I have a total? Am I starting with a total in mind, or am I creating a total at the end? And are my numbers being grouped together, or am I adding and subtracting different combinations of numbers? And that will hopefully help you figure out what operation. And then your job is to think through, what part should I do first, and how can I use my parentheses to express that I need this value first before I move on to the next one. Like, we did not want to subtract these numbers separately. It made more sense to add them up rather than subtract one at a time. So hit pause so you can jot this down into your notes, and let's get some more practice. Keep thinking about how we're approaching these problems, and I will see you in the next lesson.